Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well and have had a lovely weekend. It's been a beautiful weekend here in the Manawatu. A lot of wind yesterday, the Sunday, but that's okay. We can put up with that while the sun is shining. I just wanted to get in touch again. The feedback I've had from the video message that I shared last week has been incredibly positive, so thank you very much for that. People have talked about how it's helping them to feel a bit more connected and also explaining some of those complex ideas we were talking about last week around reflection. I've really enjoyed reading your reflections that you've shared online this week. It's interesting looking that for some of you it appears that reflection is something you're quite familiar and comfortable with. For others, reflection is something that you do in your head and through talking with others, but that the writing down aspect is not something that you do a lot of. And for others, reflection is, even the word is a really, really scary one. And I can understand that as well. I know for myself, reflection is something that I do in my head. It's something I respond to, but I have to actually make myself sit down and write them. I still do write reflections. I maintain my teacher registration, so that means that I have to have reflective evidence of how I'm improving my practice. And that's a bit of a change from in the past. In the past, I think it was people just made the assumption that once they had their full teacher registration, as long as somebody signed it off for them every 3 years as it needed renewing, then that was enough. But that has definitely changed, and the Teachers Council now require evidence to be collected and collated of improved practice and reflective thinking over time during that even during full registration. So all teachers are required to maintain a professional portfolio of some sort. How they do that's up to them, whether they do that in paper documentation, whether they do an e-portfolio, whether they do video diaries. People can come up with their own way of doing it, and they do. The Teachers Council do call them in and request to see the actual physical evidence of your improved practice and reflection over time, and that can happen to anybody. I know a person who has had their full teacher registration for more than 20 years, and their folder was called in by the Teachers Council. So they had a set amount of time, I think it was about 6 or 8 weeks, in which to get that folder fully up to scratch and sent in. So please don't think that reflection is just something that Lil and I make you do and put for the sake of it, or just because you're a student teacher, but because it's going to be incredibly important for you as a beginning teacher and as a teacher into the future. It was hopefully the clip last week that I shared and the notes and things have helped you to feel a lot more comfortable about using one of those 3 models. And pretty much every time you see the word reflection written in any of the tasks you've set for the assignments for PIP3 or any of the tasks you'll set while on practicum, that means you need to use a framework. So please make sure that you get that into your mind, and that the first thing you do when you see the word reflection is think, oh, I need a framework. It's also really interesting looking at the feedback to Sir Ken Robinson's clip. It's always interesting, both with the internal students and with you as the distance students, looking and seeing people's reactions to this clip. For some it's inspiring, for others it's scary. It almost freaks them out in terms of thinking of the responsibility you're about to have as a teacher for impacting on children's learning into the future. I can certainly see you've picked up the points around the intention of NZC was to move more towards a curriculum and away from that process line model that Sir Ken was talking about. It hasn't yet been as effective as it was intended to be, I think for lots of reasons. National standards is certainly one of those, but I think there's some other reasons too around teachers' understandings of the intention of NZC and their responsiveness to that, as well as time and commitment factors, and also society's understandings. That old idea, well, I went through school and it was like this and I turned out fine, so why do we need to change anything? So yeah, there's still a long way to go, I think, and Sir Ken is incredibly passionate and articulate in what he talks about, and it was great to see you talking about, some of you, the ideas that you've shared this clip with other people and you've searched out other things that other presentations that Sir Ken has done, so well done. This week Lil is teaching you for PIP, so I will leave you in her very, very capable hands. I will be looking in on the forums, and my sincere apologies for not correctly editing a forum around the need for group summaries, which I had dropped this year, and then in the forum the wording was still there because I hadn't edited it properly, so my apologies for that. But at this stage you won't be needing to do summaries in this paper, as the feedback I've had is that students haven't been using them in the way they were intended and they're not that useful, so I'm trialling not using them, but we'll just see how that goes. Anyway, thanks everybody. I wish you a wonderful week ahead, and I'll catch up with you all soon. Ka kite.